Hello and welcome to the Critically Clueless. I'm the Monk. Today we are in Empire of Sin in yet another video. This time, however, we are doing a video all about diplomacy. Now, I've covered diplomacy before in a few different other videos, but never have I done a video solely on diplomacy. Hopefully I can remember everything that there is to tell you about it. This is actually a requested video by a viewer and a commentator. So I figured I'd jump on, try and get it done. Hopefully I do a good job and explain it. If I miss anything out, guys, just let me know down in the comments. And of course, if you do enjoy this video, if you find it entertaining, hit that like button and of course hit the subscribe button along with it. And like I said, just let me know your thoughts on this video. Now within this game, you're going to meet bosses depending on the size of the map and how many bosses are in your city, depending on how many bosses you're actually going to meet. But at the end of the day, you are going to meet bosses within this game. When you meet your boss for the very first time, they present you with a couple of different options. Now for diplomacy reasons, I would highly recommend the sit down. Now the reason I recommend the sit down is because doing the sit down means you get access to a business arrangement, which then opens up other little perks. If you go for just a meet and greet, then you get no real benefits from that, you know, long term or short term. But if you go for a sit down, you get a nice little access to whichever boss, you know, you've kind of met up with first. Now, I personally play my playthroughs where I will accept a sit down from every single person because I want everyone to like me, because I want all the benefits that that will bring. Now, when you accept a sit down, you have something like 70+ days to attend the sit down. If you fail to attend that sit down within that time for whatever reason, maybe you found a crate here and there, especially early game, you will get, you know, negative reputation with that boss. They don't like it. At the end of the day, you said you were going to be there. You wasn't there. You didn't show up. They ain't going to like it. They ain't going to like you because of that. So try and make sure you actually attend before that timer ticks out. Now, when you jump into a sit down, you've got kind of a short and a long. Now, at the end of the day, you get no real negative from accepting the business, or I can't even say business. You get no real negative from accepting the business arrangement, but you will always be offered a business arrangement at the start of the game when you interact with the boss for the very first time. Now, you can do the long way and have a nice little chit chat, or you can say, let's cut to the short of it. You get no negative for doing this, and you still get to accept the deal or not accept it if that's what you choose. But if you do accept it, you get a nice couple of bonuses. It, of course, varies from boss to boss. Some bosses have slightly better arrangements than the other bosses, but still, it's good to have a business arrangement with a boss, because when you do have a business arrangement with a boss, it opens up favors. Now, as you can see, having this business arrangement didn't necessarily give me a huge chunk of good positive reputation with that boss, but what it did do is open up favors. If I didn't have a business arrangement, I wouldn't have favors. So they go hand in hand. So to get that business arrangement unlocks favors. If you're going exploiting, or maybe you needed a good friendly word put in, it's really, really helpful. Now, it does help to have a slightly better relationship with a boss before you request a favor, especially if you're asking for money or for alcohol. But if you're looking to kill somebody, you only need a little bit. Now, it does vary, but you do need a little bit. You do need to be in a plus, but you can request an assassination of anyone in the game, including the bosses and the gangsters that maybe they have. So have a little think of that, because it's very overpowered at the moment in this game. If a playthrough is particularly difficult for you, you can request this from multiple different bosses at a time. So again, like I said, it can be really, really useful. Like I said, you can also request money. Now, of course, the amount of money that you can request really depends on how much they like you. If they like you a lot more than Salts likes me currently right now, and if they have a good chunk of money, then they are more willing to, you know, lend you that money. Of course, it does depend on how much money they actually have, and that goes the same for alcohol as well. Whatever alcohol they have, it helps a lot if they actually have alcohol to begin with, or if they have a good chunk of it, and of course if they actually like you in the first place. Now, another thing that can happen when you are in your gameplay is that you will be offered a non-aggression pack. You'll also be offered into wars sometimes as well, or even into defense treaties. So these little things that can pop up do affect how much somebody likes you. If you go into a non-aggression pack, or if you do accept a war with somebody, or if you're being given protection money, and of course you do actually choose to defend them, these things go in your favor. You can become peers, which basically means you're friends with them. It's kind of the max amount of friendship, positive relationship you can actually have with someone, is to become a peer with them. This doesn't last very long. Your actions in the game really determine just how fast that drops down. If you have broken deals with them before, if you've gone into war with them before, these things will have a negative impact, and it will have a lasting negative impact in the game. But you can see where all this is coming from if you just hover over the relationship marker. You'll see exactly where it's coming from, why they like you, why they don't like you. But within the game, the best thing about the relationship note is that it can be manipulated. Now, within this game right now, what I'm doing right now, I've only just met Maggie. She doesn't really know me. I don't really know her. She doesn't particularly like me, but I can sweeten her a little bit. I can offer her a ridiculously good deal, but make sure that you're not giving them something. Give them a good deal, but don't give them something. If you give them something, they ain't gonna like it. That should be in tributes. But if you're going to offer them a good deal, you will get good reputation with them. Now, it can be anything from some janky old meds to a decent-ish handgun, or maybe something that you don't like. Obviously, Maggie, she's going to find things more useful than other things. So depending on what it is you're trying to sweeten her with, depends on how much that she's going to appreciate that gift, and of course that will affect the rating in which she likes you or doesn't like you. You can do this kind of endlessly. There are a few scenarios in which you can't really get it to rise anymore. But especially at the beginning of the game, if you find somebody that you're like, okay, I want to ally with them early game, I want to have access to favors, or I just don't want them to go to war with me, then you can keep them on the good side, give them a few treats. I'm doing it with money. I'm getting them to give me $1 in exchange for, an $8,000 nightstick. It's a pretty good deal. You can do it with like swill or stuff like that, or you can even do it for some decent things, that maybe they have that you kind of need or want. But at the end of the day, all these business arrangements that are in their favor, it's building up a relationship with that character, and therefore they're liking you that little bit much more. And of course, like I said earlier, the nicer the thing you are gifting them. Now, of course, I'm not giving them anything particularly amazing, but the nicer the thing you are gifting them, for instance, weapons, they seem to prioritize weapons over other things. You'll get a bigger chunk for doing that than you would, say, for instance, a Ned pack or some smelling salts. Now, your relation with a character can depend heavily on trade deals as well. Trade deals are kind of like one of the main things that you're going to be doing in the game when it comes to diplomacy. Diplomacy have very little options. Allying up with a character, or, that actually having a lasting impact in your game is probably not going to happen, and it's kind of, just don't bank on it. These kind of business arrangements, they can go as quick as 5 minutes into the game, or they can last a few months. But as you can see, one of the main differences is right now with the alley cats, they don't particularly like me that much, and they're charging me a good amount of money in order to, buy myself some good armor off them or trade it off them. Now, I can sweeten the deal. In other words, get them to like me beforehand. Now, again, I wouldn't recommend doing what I'm doing to make sure, to make it worthwhile. But if she did like me, she would give me a considerably better deal than than what she was offering before. But of course, to do that, she does actually have to like me. So it's really, really good to get them to like you. You will get some better benefits, some better deals. Obviously, don't accidentally go to war with them. That's not the plan at all. But you'll see in just a second, you know, the alley cats, they are now going to like me, or like me a lot better than they did just a minute ago. And therefore, I'll be able to buy the armor that she has for, you know, a cheaper deal. Now, again, like I said, I wouldn't do this for one trade. But if you're looking to get, for instance, a lot of weapons off them, now, at the beginning of the game, we're all looking for loot, right? Just like the other AI bosses. And unfortunately, the other AI bosses are quicker at getting that loot than we are ourselves. So sometimes they have some really good gear. Now, if you want a load of that gear to kit out all your gangsters, I would highly recommend getting them to like you first, even if you're going to do, say for instance, disguising the whiskey. Now that's a nice trick that I like to do, especially if I'm going to go to war with a person. You know, I'll disguise a load of whiskey, I'll get all their good gear off them, all their money off them, and then I'll go to war with them, right? But if you're going to do that, it's going to be more profitable, and you're going to be able to get more weapons if they actually like you in the first place, which is why I say at the beginning of the game to look at attending those sit downs and getting that good relationship with them off the bat, because having a business arrangement with them does improve your relationship with them down the line as well. But lastly, my last tip on diplomacy really is that, unfortunately, if you have gone to war with them before, if you have broken business arrangements with them before, if they have a genuine reason just to absolutely hate you, sometimes you just can't do nothing about that. Sometimes you have way too much ticking against you for them to like you or to respect you or to want to be friends or buddies with you. It's just not going to happen. No matter what you give them or how much you try and bribe them, sometimes you reach a point or a number that you just can't tick on by. Again, it doesn't honestly matter what you give them. They just aren't going to like you. You've proved to be, you know, disloyal, or you've proved to be an enemy. You've proved to be somebody that they just don't want any part of. So remember that down the line for when you're, you know, when you're picking your enemies, when you're picking your battles, because when you go to war with someone, that's kind of it for the rest of the game. Unfortunately, there's nothing else you can do about it. But guys, that is it. That is the end of my diplomacy video. I hope you found it entertaining. I hope you've learned something. Obviously, if you are watching this, you're probably maybe a newer player, hoping to learn, you know, a thing or two. I hope that maybe I've managed to answer all your questions. If you do have any questions about diplomacy in the game, drop it down in the comments. If I've forgotten anything, drop it in the comments, and maybe I'll even pin the post for other people to read, because there are a few little things in this game that are easy to forget. And something like diplomacy, unfortunately, there isn't a million options. I would love to see more options in this game. I'd love to see more mechanics behind certain things in this game. Diplomacy is one of those things that are just lacking a little bit. But hopefully you guys find this video entertaining anyway. I've been a Monk, we've been Critically Clueless, and guys, I will see you in the next video real soon. I'll catch you later.
You're down for the count, and you're not getting up.